Recently, far-right activist Tommy Robinson produced a documentary film which exposes the BBC and the campaigning group Hope Not Hate. He exposes the lies of the BBC, no surprise there, and for employing racist, homophobic and xenophobic journalists. Well, one journalist anyway. The film, entitled Panodrama, is a take on the BBC's flagship current affairs programme Panorama, who were due to be producing a programme which intends to character assassinate Tommy Robinson. So is the documentary worth a watch? And should we be paying attention to Tommy Robinson?
Hello, welcome to Unite Planet. This isn't our usual way of making a video where we're basically just talking to camera. We usually do an interview style where we let the subject, who is a renowned researcher, have their platform. That's usually how we like to do it, and that's the way we'll continue to do it. But we like to do different things now and again. We're going to do more documentary style videos and different bits and bobs. But today I just want to make a little video after watching a documentary. I think it was the 23rd of February it was released, and that's Tommy Robinson's Panodrama documentary, which he exposes the BBC and also Hope Not Hate as well, who present themselves as an anti-hate organisation, when in reality they're just there to shut down anyone who speaks against the establishment. The reason why we're doing this video is Tommy Robinson gets a lot of attention. He has a lot of followers, and he kind of divides people. But we feel he's more of a distraction to the real truth and to the real rulers of this planet. And we're certainly not claiming to be one of the first to put that out. It's been expressed many times before, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers already are aware he's a distraction, and he's been placed to be a distraction. But his new documentary, to me, it's kind of two things. It is actually a very good documentary. He does expose the BBC pretty well. He does a good job of that.
In his documentary, Tommy Robinson works on exposing BBC's Panorama programme with the help of his former aide, Lucy Brown, who had hoodwinked Panorama's journalist John Sweeney into a meeting to discuss a planned Panorama documentary on Tommy Robinson, with the intention of it being a character assassination on him. Lucy was equipped with secret recording equipment with the prospect of double-crossing and exposing John Sweeney and the BBC's true intentions and revealing the truth behind their operations. The secret footage found Sweeney admitting his plan to create the footage and lies about Robinson, to use it to paint him in a negative light for sensational purposes, which does seem to be a regular policy of mainstream media. The secret film footage also shows Sweeney making casual racist and homophobic slurs, all of which Robinson confronts a surprised John Sweeney in a planned interview with Tommy Robinson, which, as far as John Sweeney was concerned, was designed to be used in his Panorama documentary. Instead, Robinson turned the tables, and a classic exposure ensues for John Sweeney, the BBC and Hope Not Hate.
I'm not a member of the establishment. Yes, you are. You're working none of these things. Are you working the Hope Not Hate in this documentary? No. Have they been present in interviews? We have had some input from some people, have they been present in interviews? Including your spies. Have they been present in interviews? Not John. You are fake news. You're fake news. And
No.
You've been creating. I've got all the evidence of you creating stories, telling sources, and people
hold on a second. Outside your offices, because this is what you do all the time.
It's all evidence, John.
What you do is you threaten people.
It's all evidence.
You always threaten people.
No,
but what
you said you would sexualise. You said you would sexualise my comments that were innocent.
No.
Yes, you did. You're on camera, John.
No, I didn't.
I haven't. I've exposed you. Okay. You were trying to destroy my life. You have been contacting people. Why were Hope Not Hate present? Why were the leaders of a far-left George Soros-funded organisation? Why were they present during the interview of a person which you were goading to give bad information about me? Why were they present? Tell me. If this is a Panorama documentary, why were Hope Not Hate present?
This is an ongoing documentary.
This is an establishment attack on me, and you're part of it. And you've been exposed to the world tonight.
Towards the end of the documentary, Tommy speaks about the tarnished legacy of the BBC and its history steeped in child abuse.
The contempt they have for you, the licence fee payer. You pay your licence fee, and if you don't, you're taken to court. Just so the elitist, fake news journalists can travel this country drinking champagne on your expense. Now, if there's one thing that symbolises the BBC, we all know about the fake news. I've just proved to you that they create the fake news, that it's not impartial, that they work with far-left extremist organisations. That's been proven. If there's one thing that symbolises them, the BBC covered for Jimmy Savile. They covered for Stuart Hall. Up to 100 children were raped and abused, many of them on the property of this organisation. Let me show you this statue that is at the entrance to the BBC. That statue was sculptured by a man called Eric Gill. Eric Gill was a paedophile. He raped his own daughters. He had sex with animals. He had an incestuous relationship with his sister. When the Catholic Church became aware of this man's crimes, they removed and covered all sculptures made by him. The BBC refused to. They were asked to, but they refused to.
So, even though Tommy Robinson has produced a fairly decent film exposing the BBC and why we shouldn't succumb to paying the TV licence, but should we be following the work and words of Tommy Robinson, the former leader of the English Defence League? Is he really fighting for justice for British people, or is there something else? So let's have a look at Tommy Robinson, or should I say Stephen Christopher Yaxley Lennon, or maybe Paul Harris, Wayne King, or Andrew McMaster. This use of several pseudonyms indicates quite strongly that he is an asset of MI5, and his stereotyping of Islam just so happens to mirror government foreign policy and the fake war on terror. He helps create a perception of the Muslim community that we should all be suspicious of. How many Islamic fundamentalists do you know? Comedian Stuart Lee once observedly joked, "I'm suspicious of all Muslims, apart from the ones I know. They seem fine."
Now, Tommy Robinson screened the documentary live in Salford, outside the BBC offices there. It was a huge screen. It was a huge screen, a big setup. It generated about 4,000 people, I think, I read. And one of the questions I have to ask is how he did that, and also who's funding that. But to have something of that scale, it takes time to prepare. A big screen event like that, he had all the mics set up, all the amplifiers and the sound systems, massive screen. This is not a project you can just set up quietly. So it seems quite obvious that some authority at Salford gave permission for that, some quite high up. But that aside, people also have a lot of opinions of Tommy Robinson, right or wrong. I mean, everyone's got a right to say how they feel about things, as long as it's not aimed personally or hateful towards a person. Then we have a right to address anyone's opinions based on that opinion, and then of course people are open to respond to that back. It's freedom of speech. As long as you don't, of course, attack them personally, and as long as you don't bring a lot of vitriol and hate to it, then that's all fair, you know.
Man that we should criticise. This is a man that we...
So Tommy Robinson first came to the attention of many people as the leader of the far-right group English Defence League, usually known as simply EDL, the acronym. Now, he held the post of leadership of EDL from pretty much its inception in 2009 up to 2013. The EDL have often stated their loyalty with Israel. Some of the early demonstrations have seen the Israeli flag, the Star of David, being flown. Robinson also stated the reason he supports Israel is that, and I quote, "Israel is a shining star of democracy. If Israel falls, we all fall." Now, what does he mean by that? Is he referring to the Samson option? For those who are not familiar with the Samson option, look into it, research it, and come to your own conclusions. But basically, the Samson option is a document endorsed by the highest levels of the Israeli state, and it says that Israel has the policy to have the right to nuke anybody and everyone if it threatens their existence. So is that what Tommy Robinson meant when he said, "If Israel falls, we all fall"? This is Alan Ayling, or if you prefer, Alan Lake. Yes, another pseudonym. Do you see a pattern? Now, Ayling is a chief financier of English Defence League, EDL, though he does strongly deny this. He was sacked from his job at a development bank after he was exposed as one of the main funders of EDL. He was also one of the main strategists behind the group, mobilising football fans to take to the streets in a physical protest with the EDL against Islam in the UK. So in essence, he mobilised and created racial violence against British Muslims to aid the progression of the EDL.
I mean, I have given some money to help some EDL things happen. I call them seditious. They are seeking the overthrow of the state. They're not respecting that which protects the state. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd be happy to execute people like that.
It's also said that Ayling gave the name English Defence League to the movement. He's also a strong supporter of Israel and Zionism. Robinson himself released, shall we say, a candid video proclaiming his alliance with Israel and showed his total disregard for Palestinian people and declared himself the king of the whole Islam race, while proudly stating that he can score drugs anywhere he goes.
Because me coming through, and this is what me and we're going to do. I'm going to punch you in the head, I kick you in the face, because I am the king of the whole Islam race. No matter where I've gone in the world, I score. I'll show you tonight. As soon as we get in this pub, I'm going to record it for you. I've gone to Qatar, pub. I've gone to Doha. It's called Gear of the Sesh while they're all praying. I've gone everywhere, mate. Everywhere. Every city I've gone to. When we went to Germany for the World Cup, I was like, "See you later, lads. Where you going?" "Going to find out." And then that's it. We're on. So tonight, I'm in some hell. Knows where. But how have I ended up? I've ended up on the Sesh. I've ended up... Scusi? What's this? Scusi? Bro, do you know where this pub is? I've got the name of a pub. Can I get a taxi? Taxi?
taxi.
Little p*** drives a car. I just said to everyone, what's the pub, the worst pub, the roughest pub, where everyone fights each other in this city? It's called some shit. So I had to ring Benjamin Netim Palestine, I can't remember his name. And then I got my Zionist card out, which said I am a Zionist. And I bought everything.
Well, you didn't buy nothing.
Shalom. Harry, listen. Shalom. Shalom. Harry, listen, let me tell you something. Yeah? If there was a war tomorrow, which there will be, because I'll probably start at the end of this session. If there was a war and it kicked off, I would be there on the front line fighting for Israel. Do you know why? Why not? Why not? It's like Celtic. I had some one of my mate's dads come up to me earlier talking about Celtic. Like, oh yeah, but you're Celtic Rangers. You know what I mean? Palestine. Palestine. Why would you support Palestine?
In another rather dark twist is the English Defence League's link with the far-right Norwegian mass murderer Anders Breivik, who in 2011 killed 77 in an apparent terrorist attack. Now, there are many layers to this event as well, as Breivik also had a pseudonym named Andrew Berwick. He was affiliated with Norwegian intelligence, as well as his support of Zionism, and was also a Freemason. But that's for another time. But bottom line is, 77 people were killed by a far-right extremist. And Breivik would often show his gratitude and admiration for EDL, and he had also attained inspiration from the English Defence League member and blogger Paul Ray, who went under the moniker of Lionheart. Ray even admitted that he may have served as a big influence to Breivik and his actions. Furthermore, former EDL leading member Roberta Moore stated after Breivik's massacre that the 77 victims were not innocent. So we see some very shady and unpleasant history within the fabric of the English Defence League and the roots of Tommy Robinson. So if Tommy Robinson is really against the elite and really the man to expose them, then why does he not talk about the elite banking cabal and the financial system designed to enslave and keep us all in debt through fiat currency? I've never heard him speak about that. Could it be the very same Zionists that control the banking system control Tommy? And I've never heard him expose the global elite's fake war on terror, which is designed to enslave us with fear and subservience, to ensure that we relinquish our rights, our freedoms, our naturally given freedoms, which we all have. But we have this fake war on terror, in which Tommy supports with his constant endorsement and campaigns against many factors of Islam in Britain. If you agree and follow his line, which hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of Britons do, this means you also accept the mainstream narrative of the war on terror, and it's exactly how it's planned. As of yet, Tommy Robinson has never exposed the real fake news, or at least the real core of it, nor the elite he's claiming to be exposing. Instead, he's protecting that elite by constantly permeating the idea and fear of the Islamic threat in Britain, and supporting and propping up the official narrative. I mean, I have never heard him publicly criticise the official narrative of the 7/7 London bombings, despite all the evidence, or even 9/11, all the real evidence of what happened on that day, which is presented in this book, this evidential account of what really happened to the World Trade Center on 9/11, which would really expose the elite's position. And that is so far away from what Tommy Robinson is exposing. He doesn't really have to look too far to begin to really see the evidence to expose the elite, and he's been given an excellent position to do that. Note I said he's been given the position. He has a prime opportunity due to his platform and the number of followers he has generated. But he chooses not to. Could that be in his best interest not to? Is it just to do his duty and serve his elite Zionist masters, who no doubt reward him handsomely? And it would also explain why his activism just so happens to fall right in line with the elite's foreign policy, especially in the Middle East. So the dog isn't going to bite the hand that feeds it. But as far as the elite are concerned, the reality is there is a growing large number of people who are questioning the establishment and are unhappy with the government and authority, and these people need to be managed. So is Tommy Robinson just playing his role? Now, Panodrama is indeed worth a view if you wish to gain exposure of the BBC and its collusion with dubious anti-hate groups. In short, it's an exposure of BBC within the personal insight of Tommy Robinson. But although you can get a lot out of this documentary, Panodrama, do not put your faith in Tommy being the one to bring real unity and freedoms to the British people against the clutches of the established elite. We can unite together. Do your own research, make your own decisions, form your own opinions, be your own master. Do not follow just one man and one opinion and one guideline, because we can work together and we can have unity, but not by pointing a disparaging finger at ethnic groups or religious groups, but by understanding our common spirit and knowing we are all one family, regardless of race, culture, ethnic background. The people I've mentioned in this video, Tommy included, are not our enemies, and we shouldn't think of anyone as our enemies.
Of course we should expose their lies and their actions if we feel it undermines humanity and the truth. But we must never bring personal hate into the argument. It is possible to wholly condemn someone's actions, sometimes no matter how despicable, and yet still show them love. This is the only way we're going to truly unite. And we should follow the evidence regardless of where it takes us, and it must always be your truth. And we should always know our truth, not simply believe it. And we should always do this with open arms, an open mind and an open heart. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.